Welcome back to Perspectives. Turning now to Israel, where Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi is on a historic diplomatic visit, making him the first Indian leader ever to visit the country. Modi touched down in Tel Aviv on Tuesday, greeting Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu with that famous bear hug. And it was quite a packed day for Modi, who visited Jerusalem's Yad Vashem Holocaust Museum and the grave of Zionist pioneer Theodor Herzl, along with holding a state dinner at Netanyahu's residence. Our diplomatic correspondent Eli Ochenberg reports.
The first day of this historic visit is coming to an end in a very moving way, in a very warm and friendly press conference between Netanyahu and Modi.
In modern times, our ties have seen rapid growth since the establishment of our full diplomatic relations a quarter century ago. Common objectives of economic prosperity, strong technology and innovation ties, and the need to secure our society define the space for convergent action between us.
What has developed into a full-on love affair started without any roses. India fiercely rejected the notion of recognizing Israel when it was established back in 1948. It took heavy diplomatic pressure to reach recognition 2 years later, but even then there was no exchange of ambassadors. Yet even way back when, Israeli leaders acknowledged the significance of relations. The first Israeli Prime Minister, David Ben-Gurion, was even quoted as saying that India's recognition of Israel was only second in its importance to that of the United States. It was, however, only in 1992 when India announced an upgrade, full diplomatic relations with Israel. And indeed, ever since, mutual visits and increasingly tight cooperation have been the bread and butter of relations. Another major shift, much in evidence, took place when Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi took office. Relations with Israel reached a whole new level. A special bond between Modi and Netanyahu also grew, something Netanyahu mentions quite often.
As we know, we have the talents of the people of Israel, and we believe in this partnership of talent. We both seek a better future for our peoples. Doing so requires a lot of work. It won't happen overnight, but Prime Minister Modi and I have the same trait. We both want it to happen.
They will have plenty of time to work on this special bond between them in the coming 2 days, because Netanyahu will be alongside Modi throughout his visit. Definitely an unorthodox thing.
Earlier, we heard from David Keenan, the vice chair of the Indo-Israel Chamber of Commerce, about joint interests of India and Israel.
There is a clear, complementary capabilities in Israel and in India. There are many things which are similar, like the basic culture, which is a long-term culture with a couple of thousands of years of Jewish versus Hindu culture. But when it comes to the economical side, India brings a lot of scale, the ability to do things in big way, in large projects and so on. And Israel brings innovation and practically the ability to resolve problems which are very hard to be resolved. As of now, the largest sector is defense, and the reasons are geopolitical reasons. The fact that India is shifting away from buying Russian defense equipment, but still not in a position to buy from the U.S. and from the Western world. So Israel is, I would say, a native supplier. Of course, China is not an option, because China and India are at least potentially are military foes. But the future comes specifically, I believe, in the tech industry.
Modi will be in Israel for 3 days, but is not scheduled to meet with Palestinian leaders in the West Bank. He did, however, previously meet with Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas in New Delhi last May. Our senior Middle East correspondent Mohammed Al-Qasim looks at what's behind the move and how the decision is being received by the Palestinian community.
Finally, Israel is getting the relationship it wants with India. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi is on a 3-day official visit to Israel, the first ever by an Indian head of government. Relations between Jerusalem and New Delhi are at a historic high. The two countries are expected to sign deals to boost their military, technology and economic ties.
Apparently, this visit to Israel is pure business, which means that India and Israel are promoting and are developing business interests, economic interests, mutual interests that of great importance to the both countries.
But the most significant element of Modi's trip may lie in its diplomatic impact. India has historically been a staunch supporter of the Palestinians, especially when former Palestinian leader Yasser Arafat was still spearheading the Palestinian cause. But now, and unlike many leaders who visit Israel, Modi will not be making a stop in the West Bank city of Ramallah, the headquarters of the Palestinian Authority, something that worries Nasser Tahboub.
We always looked at India as a very important alliance to us, and as one of the great supporters to the Palestinian cause. And I will be extremely worried if this status of India is been changing.
Jibril Rajoub, member of the Fatah Central Committee, a governing party in the Palestinian Authority, placed down the Prime Minister not visiting the Palestinian territories.
We are not worried. India is committed to this two-state solution, committed supporting the Palestinian people's right in self-determination to have our own independent sovereign state.
But Tahboub says the PA leadership may be in denial.
Maybe the Palestinian leadership does not like to confess that there is a change, or the Palestinian leadership is not capable of absorbing what's happening.
Palestinians hope this rapprochement between Israel and India will have a positive impact on the Palestinian-Israeli conflict.
If they are in good relations with Israel, I don't think that this is against our interest. On the contrary, India is trying to play a role of mediator rather than to be one-sided.
Tahboub draws a comparison to another alliance being made between Israel and two other countries that were both close allies to the Palestine Liberation Organization.
Cyprus and Greece were historically very strong supporters and alliance to the Palestinians, to President Arafat. And now we are watching signing of joint agreements, joint economic protocols with Israel.
Palestinians once believed their relationship with India was unbreakable.
First, our relationship with India is historical and strong. We have old diplomatic relations with India. President Abbas was on a state visit recently, and we all noticed the great attention and appreciation Palestine has in India from all.
But those were different times, different leaders, and different priorities. Now, with the changing political world order and the shifting focus to more domestic issues, India's leader has 1.4 billion people who he needs to feed and put to work. Mohammed Al-Qasim, I-24 News, Ramallah, the West Bank.
Coming up, we look at major changes ahead for Israel's opposition Labour Party. Labour is currently holding its party election, and we already know it's going to be a political shake-up. We've got all those details after the short break.